Hi everyone. So in my last video talking about Israel, I mentioned that they are always seeking conflict because this is their way of obtaining more land in order to achieve the Greater Israel Project. Now, the Greater Israel Project, the thing is, this has always been the goal. When Israel was first founded, it was with the goal of committing a religious goal. The goal of committing to so-called commandments established by Rabbi Nachmanides of 13th century Spain. And this guy, like, if you look up his commandments, just look them up. It specifically talks about, wiping the unbelievers or the non-Jews, like basically exterminating them. Like God has given them license to do so. And if Jews don't live in the Holy Land, it will be as though they are not real Jews, like as though they are, they can't properly worship God. They have to be in the Holy Land to worship God. That's truly what he believed. And this is something that Rabbi Abraham Cook took to heart when he set up a school system that was a mixed school system. It's a school system that is used today, actually. And this school system, it mixed secular with religious studies. And the idea for Rabbi Cook in the early 1900s, the idea for him was, okay, we need to use these non-religious Jews because most of the religious Jews at the time did not believe in taking the Holy Land and making it into a Jewish state. They didn't believe that. They believed in living peaceably with non-Jews, the Muslims and Christians, They didn't believe any of that. They saw as the Messiah is the one who has to come down and make that happen and lead the Jewish people to the land. But Rabbi Cook was like, no, I'd rather, he believed that the apocalypse is now and that the rules have changed. That's why he decided to do a whole loophole system in which, and he's of the extreme at the time, extreme Orthodox, A lot of contemporary rabbis, they did not agree with his views. But he decided to make use of the non-religious Jews, the secular Jews, to push for taking land for the Greater Israel Project. And that's what happened. And the educational system, that's one of the biggest goals, the biggest achievements of his, because for him, the way he saw it, he was a very pragmatic man, you could say. And Cook saw it as, okay, we're going to use these able-bodied Jewish people. They're not religious, but they're still instruments of God. And once we use them and we establish a Jewish state, then we will focus on trying to make them as religious as possible, as they are supposed to be. But they were just a means to an end initially. He was trying to very much make use of them, and indoctrination through education, that was the best way to do that, to use verses from the Old Testament Bible, the Jewish Bible, from the Talmud, the Torah, whatever, any verse that backs his claims that this land is our land and no one else should live in this land. These very extremist views. This was not founded. Zionism, I'm sorry to say, it's not predicated solely on, a political, secular, ethnic, nationalist agenda. It dated back hundreds of years. And then when Herzl came up, he became the useful idiot that helped to further the extremist Jewish agenda. So you can't just, because without the blessing of these so-called religious figures, Zionism would be rightfully shut down. So you need the blessing of these extreme Jewish leaders, extreme Christian leaders, and even extreme Muslim leaders. And now Zionism is the face of mainstream Judaism, which should be really scary, to be honest. And yet people don't fully realize the implications of all this.